Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of, it's not even Mormon Stories podcast, to a special edition live stream of John and Carah React. It is September 3rd, 2021. This is part two of a reaction to a video that Jacob Hess shared a few days ago. YouTuber, I guess, Jacob Hess. What was the name of the video, the original video? Oh, have you heard the biggest
lie?
I'm Dr. John DeLynn, and this is
Carah Burrell. Hi, guys. We also are hoping that our sound is coming across okay. If it's not, let us know. We know we had some technical difficulties last time, and we are trying to work out all the kinks and make sure that this is a high quality production.
Yeah, and I just have to say, Carah, that we paid attention to the comments last night and this morning, and what we said at the beginning last time is we are always at Mormon Stories Podcast looking for new ways to fulfill our mission. Our mission is to to support people through a faith crisis, particularly a Mormon faith crisis, although we have a lot of non-Mormons who listen, and to promote healing and growth after Mormonism. And that's kind of what we do. And also to help educate people about the realities of the Mormon church. Those are kind of what I see as our mission. And in that light, if we just do long form 15-hour, interviews of people in faith crisis that we share on the podcast and then upload to YouTube, we'll reach a good group of people. Like, I'm really happy with what we've done over the past 16 years. And it's also, yeah.
And let's add more.
Yeah.
Let's add more. If somebody's going through one of the most devastating things in their life, which could be a faith crisis or faith transition, let's give them some validation and some humor. That's what I do. At least that's my brand, you could say, on my TikTok. That's what I am passionate about. So yeah, sorry, continue, John.
No. And I guess the point I want to make is there's some people that are like, why are you messing with Oh, first of all, the feedback overwhelming is very, very
overwhelmingly positive.
Super
especially about
positive.
me.
Yeah, you're amazing. You're a star, Carah. No, but most people really love this. They really love the format. They really resonated with it. So I'm thrilled.
Thank you.
I'm
Seriously.
Yeah.
So many comments, and not just on under the YouTube video, but I've been getting messages on Reddit and Instagram, all over the place, emails into Mormon Stories. So yeah, thanks. Keep them coming. I know I joked around at the beginning of the one last time of don't send us mean emails, just send us money. No, I was kidding. Not all my jokes will land correctly for every given audience. Let's be honest. Most YouTube videos you see that are reactions are not live streamed. So we're doing this like really off the cuff here.
Yeah.
So not every joke is going to be for everyone. We're going to try our hardest to react and just say honestly what's on our mind. Not everything's going to come across. So yes, if there are criticisms, please understand that we're trying our best at this new format. A video that I haven't even watched yet, John has. He gets to cheat. So please be patient with us as we're working this out. But your compliments and your constructive criticisms are welcome. And routing numbers to your bank account. Throw it in there too.
We're already getting some comments from our live stream. Crisco Bike writes, "Bring the sass." We always get like,
that's my cousin.
Most people are really loving Carah's, sense of humor and what she brings. And then occasionally it's like, well, you're supposed to be serious and don't be disrespectful and don't be crude or rude or whatever. And there's always a balance, but most people love kind of the comedy and the fun and the spark that you bring. And then some people are like, hey, don't be too mean or don't be too sarcastic. And it's always impossible to kind of perfectly thread that needle.
We're going to be exactly how I'm going to be. I was at 10% sass yesterday. I'll ramp it up to 12% and then we'll go behind a paywall for 20.
Also, somebody else, Scandia67 says it's the John and Carah Variety Show.
The Variety Hour.
Okay, but I'll just close this point. And the point is that, yes, we can do long form podcasts that we upload to YouTube, but we want to reach more people. We want to reach young people. Young people deserve informed consent. Teens deserve informed consent. Young adults deserve informed consent. And we want to entertain and educate and support more people. And that's what, you guys support Mormon Stories and the Open Stories Foundation. So when we have disposable funds, which we do right now, we invest in Instagram.
When we have disposable funds, we make it disposable fun. This is the disposable fun.
Yeah. And we're investing in Instagram, Carah. We're investing in TikTok, Carah. And we're investing in, experimenting with YouTube, Carah, just to see whether we can reach more people. So anyway, that's why we do it. Thanks so much for the support.
Hey, thanks, Matthew.
Man, we've already got our first super chat from YouTube. For those of you who want to support us, you can support us through the little $ on YouTube. Matt writes, you want to read that?
I'm here live for the first time. Go full sass, Carah. Coworkers, if you saw this, no, you didn't.
Thank you, Matthew, for the support. We had great generosity. Just know that anything you donate to support this type of programming goes to support Carah. Honestly, it really does. And we want to pay Carah a healthy, strong, fair, generous wage and benefits so that
this is called the Taco Bell sponsored hour. Taco Bell ain't free. Please sponsor us.
Yeah. So thanks for the support. There's also this thing called Stars in Facebook where you can also support us. I don't know how that works yet, but check it out if it appears on your browser. Also, thanks to Crisco Bike for the support as well. All right. So without any further ado, let's start with a content rating. What we're doing with people like John Larson and Carah and others is we're not always trying to always be super, believer safe for like an Orthodox Mormon who's just starting to question. We're never going to stop at Mormon Stories providing content that feels safe and not too edgy or risky or negative or irreverent for a believing Mormon. And that will always provide that. But we also want to be able to provide other types of content. John Larson content, for example, sometimes he expresses the anger or the rage or the criticism that many ex-Mormons and progressive Mormons and post-Mormons feel. And in that same light, a lot of people love, for example, Carah's sass and her humor. So our solution to that is self-selection, right? Where we tell you at the beginning kind of the rating. And if you don't want sass, if you don't want humor, if you don't want sarcasm, then we can warn you ahead of time and you can just decide this isn't for you. So what's the rating for today, Carah?
Like a PG-13 that your grandma showed you in 1996. So like something that's a little risque for grandma, but not risque for like normal, like 2021. So like a low.
So you're
PG-13.
Bringing the sass, but for you, it's 12% of your sass.
Yeah.
But for Mormons, that's probably a little edgy. For Orthodox Mormons, that's going to be edgy sass.
But maybe that's what helps them like become a donor.
Or laugh or, get through the day.
I'm not a monster. I like to laugh. It's not just all about, investment funds and truth claims.
Okay. Our audio just went out. So let's just see. Okay. Your audio. You just unplugged yourself. Try not to unplug yourself. Okay. Carah's back. Also, a thanks to Alexa Meredith. She says, big fan of TikToks. The editing has been exceptional. I love the branching out into different types of content. That's worth mentioning, Carah. We're up to almost 70,000 followers on TikTok in 2 months. That's all Carah plus amazing interviewees plus, the content we do on Mormon Stories. But we passed 1.1 million likes on TikTok.
Right. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Nice job.
Yeah. I'll buy a lot of tacos with that.
There's this recurring taco theme. Kai Jessen says, bring on the edgy.
Trying to get us sponsored, John. We're always begging for money when we should be just going straight to like the corporate entities of like Taco Bell subsidiaries. Yeah.
Okay. So let's jump into the content for today. You guys self-select. If you don't want sass, turn this off now. We're going to try and have fun and be sassy, but also our goal is not to denigrate or personally attack Jacob Hess. We're in the second half of this video, this 22-minute video that he created for us. He was I think he was pretty vicious in a very passive aggressive, backhanded, indirect way.
Yeah. We will never be as sassy as Jacob.
Yeah. But he does it with like this general authority voice that many of you have reacted to. We've invited Jacob to come on Mormon Stories podcast. We'll see if he takes us up
I'm going to be sick
on that offer. Carah's going to be sick that day. But if you didn't, if you missed part one, go watch it. We posted it yesterday. We responded to the first 10 minutes or so. If you want to know what video we're tracking, it just type in, have you heard the biggest church lie? And it'll come up on YouTube.
Yeah.
But we are now going to jump into part 5, where we're going to begin responding to Jacob. Is that right?
Why'd you say part 5 of his section?
Section 5 of his video.
Right.
That's about exactly 10 minutes in.
It's already got a Star Wars reference, so I'm excited.
Yeah. It's got Han
My
Solo.
demographic.
It's got Harrison Ford right there. Okay, should we jump in?
Yep.
Let's do this. All right. So minute number 10 in Jacob Hess's epic, life-changing, I'm being sarcastic, have you heard the church's biggest lie? Okay. The evidence within.
These evangelizers know full well how distressing that claim would be to so many if it was embraced as true. So many sweet experiences people believed they were having with the Spirit of the Lord suddenly ripped away. And so much that you once thought precious and sacred, suddenly exposed as the opposite.
Okay, I have to just stop there. How'd that feel for you?
I kind of already had my opinion on this one in the last one, that Mormon missionaries do that. That's kind of their bread and butter.
What? They do what?
To expose other people's experiences with the divine as they see it and reinterpret it and try to tell them that it actually is only Elohim that provides light and knowledge, and anything that they felt is actually our Father in heaven, and they need to get with this super cool hip religion that's less than 1% of 1% of the global population. So I already made my point last time about that.
And I think it's important that we kind of just make it clear who he's talking about. So when he talks about influencers, he's talking about me, he's talking about Natasha Helfer, he's talking about Jeremy Runnels. And I think it's he
has a space there me.
I think he's thinking about you, Carah, but you're kind of new to the scene. Soon you'll be targeted just like me.
I have not had a single one. You know that?
Yeah, you're getting there. You'll get there. Don't wish for it. It's not always fun. Or maybe it is. Maybe it's a crowning achievement. I don't know.
I think about that every time I lock my door, and I'm like, is today the day I get murdered?
Why am I being attacked? Oh, that's dark. That was dark.
It's not.
A little bit
true.
too real and true, but dark. I also think he's talking about RFM. I think he's talking about Bill Reel. I think he's talking about Lindsay Hansen Park, even though she may or may not want to be included in that. But these are, and all the TikTokers out there that are doing amazing work, Exmolex, right? Jonathan Streeter. There are a lot of influencers that he could be talking to. And I just want to make that clear. The other thing I just want to say, and we kind of touched on this last time, he's starting to talk about this idea that, that listeners, that Orthodox Mormons have felt the Spirit, that they've, had baby blessings, they've been baptized, they've had the confirmation, they've been in testimony meetings, they've had priesthood blessings, they've heard inspirational talks in a general conference. And that's the truth, that those emotional experiences that they've had that have borne witness to them, that is the truth. In other words, feelings equals truth, kind of like conditioned feelings equals truth. And what we're doing as influencers, Carah, and I want to know how you feel about this. Forget the missionaries. He's saying that what we're doing is trying to take a dump, spoil those spiritual experiences, ruin them, recontextualize them so that they no longer base their lives on what they felt was a sure witness or sure testimony. And that's really the epistemology question.
Yeah, that's like a 5-hour conversation about the way that, like an epistemology question of the way that we arrive at what we believe is true. And if that truth leads you to be a better person in micro doses, that's fine. But in a macro scheme, it just seems like he's not taking into the context that people's spiritual experiences of praying about the Book of Mormon, that's not a good epistemology to arrive at the 200 other things that the church requires of you and your children and your life and your money, based on the spiritual experiences that I don't think provide the weight.
I'm going to channel my inner Jacob Hess. Okay.
Okay.
But Carah, these people have had sacred experiences that are very meaningful to them. Who are you to deny that these spiritual experiences are not real and are not valid? How dare you?
That's fine if you have
How was that?
spiritual experiences,
Was
Jacob.
that good? Was that good?
Whoa, it's John DeLynn.
Sorry.
Jacob, where'd you go? That's fine if people want to have spiritual experiences, but when there are externalities to then what is required of you, Wade, you then commit to a faith system that you don't have a lot of say in. There are people that are pushed to the margins in. There are a million externalities now to that faith system. So I think it's always good to question the reasons for why we're believing the things that we're believing.
I think the externalities are huge. You know, the ways people are harmed, LGBTQ people, women, intellectuals, people of color.
I've been harmed as an intellectual. Let me tell you, I have a story.
Yeah. But
joke.
No, well,
you drop out.
I do think intellectuals get abused in the church, but I think the biggest thing is it really does come down to informed consent. No, well, two things: informed consent and epistemology. Those people that have had, well, three things. It's two and a half. So those people who have those testimonies in the church, were not given the full information. So that's problem number one. All those people, Jacob Hess, that you claim, those 4 million Mormons out there in the world, or 3 or 4 million Mormons that still believe, forget the 14 or 13 million Mormons that have already lost their faith. Those, 3 to 4 million Mormons that still believe were never given informed consent. That's problem number one. So they believed in a church that actually doesn't exist. They believed in a Joseph Smith that doesn't exist. They believe in a Book of Mormon that doesn't exist in terms of, being a historical, record. And so that's a problem, is you've got all these people believing in something where they didn't have all the information. So they based their beliefs on like a Potemkin town, on something that's just a facade. The second problem is, again, epistemology. Jared wants to have this position. Am I boring you? Jacob, am I boring you?
No, this is important. This is like epistemology 101. So sit down, take your notes.
Yeah. So Mormons want to teach that this is kind of Orwellian, that emotions are truth, that emotions are facts. And Jacob Hess, you just have to look at any other world religion. Members of Warren Jeff's FLDS cult, Scientologists, Jehovah's Witnesses, right? And Muslims, those dudes that flew the planes into the towers, they all had feelings that made them feel like what they believed was factual and true. And they can't all be factually true.
They can all be false.
They can't all be false. But the point is, when you accuse us of spoiling people's worldviews, religious worldviews, or testimonies, what you fail to acknowledge is the fraughtness of your epistemological claims or foundations.
And I think Sam Pinson says that perfect here. He acts as if billions of other humans don't have spiritual experiences that directly contradict the spiritual experiences of Mormons. So
I love it. Yeah. So that's my biggest concern. Acknowledge the weakness of we were taught in primary, the wise man builds his house upon the rock. Yeah. The foolish man builds his house upon the sand. Building your life on emotions generated by a high demand religion that withheld the true factual information from you and then wanted to wield undue influence upon you so that they could extract your money and your time and your resources. That is the sandiest foundation you could build your life on.
Well said. Yeah, it took us 5 minutes to get there, but that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I'm sorry. What do you want to build your life on? What do you want to build your life on?
Evidence and empathy.
That's so brilliant.
Yeah, concise. I don't need to expand upon that.
I love that. Brilliant. High five. That was good. Evidence and empathy. Yeah, evidence. I love evidence. All right, let's keep going. Jacob.
Suddenly exposed as the opposite. Thankfully, these influencers also generously provide discounts for their coaching and retreats on the side to help people navigate these difficult realities and learn to thrive despite the agony of seeing your faith incinerated
Okay, I know we already addressed this yesterday, but I just had a thought about this. Do you mind if I share it? I know I'm talking a lot.
Yeah. Is it the thought that Mormon stories must fulfill a 4-hour quota on YouTube? Because if that's the thought, it's an incorrect thought. We don't have to be 4 hours long. I know that's what you're used
Claire's
to.
saying
John.
Kara's saying I'm long-winded. I just want to say this.
I love, for the record, whenever people criticize that the episodes are too long or John speaks over guests or whatever criticisms, I actually love the way that John interviews and John's thoughts. I would not tease anything out. So please go.
Well, we addressed this yesterday. I just thought of a refined thought. He's basically here in a sarcastic, passive aggressive way, using his priesthood voice. Again, like I mentioned at the end of yesterday, he's claiming that people like me and Natasha are intentionally, get this, Kara, this is important. He's claiming that we're intentionally creating a crisis in people's lives so that then we can provide counseling services, and services to make money. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think he's doing is he's projecting what the church actually does.
Yeah.
Because
I hope he didn't pull a muscle making that stretch about us.
Yeah, because if you think about it, cancer oncologists, they create cancer so that they can cure cancer. Neurologists create brain aneurysms so that they can provide surgery. No.
Sexy women provide oh crap, I'm getting into territory I should get into.
Provide bare shoulders.
Sexy women
to
provide
sinful
bare shoulders
thoughts.
so that they can create
Thank
bare
you.
thoughts
Yes.
that provide like a sex worker industry. Like, got you.
No, but I think he's projecting what the Mormon church actually does, because this is what I think this defines, in my view, the Mormon business model, which is they create this perception of guilt and shame and sin, however they can create it, and then offer themselves up as the solution that they charge you to remedy.
Yeah. So what you're
that
saying
is the
like,
Mormon business model, and he's projecting that on me and
what
Natasha.
I'm hearing you say is that he's already so familiar with the Mormon business model, he assumes that everyone does things for the same intent.
Yeah,
that's just the model that goes familiar to people.
And I ran this by Natasha this morning. I said, "Hey, did you know this guy Jacob Hess accused you, Natasha, of creating faith crises so that you can make money off of it?" And she just laughed and said, "That's so ridiculous. That helpers, nurses, ambulance workers, firemen, it'd be like accusing a fireman of creating the fires. No, the fireman goes through sacrifices to learn to put out fires, and to accuse the fireman of the fires it's violent.
If I may
it's
steel man his position
violent.
a little bit more, though,
Okay.
I can see the potential for, if the church was what it is, and there are people who are so distraught by the entire paradigm that a lot of Mormons just don't like about people who leave, that they wanted to leave to sin. And so they need to drum up a lot of false accusations of the church and interpret the data. That's his point, is like they're trying to spin things. And how terrible is it that they're spinning things? And then they are the doctors that people come to get their prescriptions now. So they're creating the problem. I can see what he's saying. That might make sense if the truth claims of the church were not demonstrably false. If we were talking about something that's a not high demand fundamentalist religion, there would be some space. I understand that. That's like kind of like conspiracy theory 101, is like somebody out there in the world is actually creating the problem and benefiting from it. That's the this, that's the this, go on Reddit and there's all kind of conspiracy forums. Like, yeah, that opinion exists out there and it could be true. Sometimes it is in the past, I think. Like, if you want to talk about like the military industrial complex, maybe it's just like maybe one of them. You can like throw that one out there. But we're talking about the Mormon church. That idea doesn't apply in my mind.
Yeah. And I'll just say my finances are public. I'm just going to say to Jacob, who's getting wealthy, Jacob? Who's getting wealthy? I went 12 years without health insurance for my family. I went 12 years without a livable kind of income, in huge sacrifices. And just now am I starting to make a decent living like I did before I ever left Microsoft. Who's getting wealthy? Who has hundreds
of the gold-plated keyboard?
Hundreds of billions? Who has hundreds of billions of dollars in stocks and bonds and cash and real estate? Who owns somewhere between 2% and 4% of the state of Florida? Jacob Hess. It's the Mormon church. who, when they die, has millions of dollars in assets? It's Mormon prophets and apostles. They're the ones getting wealthy, Jacob, and they're the ones creating the illness that they then force people to pay as they present themselves as the cure. Enough said.
Enough said.
Also, shout out to Leah Lewis Young. We love you, Leah. She writes, my husband is creating sick children so that he can read their x-rays. A shout out to Cody. We love you and Cody, Leah. All right, more awesome Jacob Hess.
Not exaggerating here. Isn't that how this real truth about the church lands for those who hear it and believe it? Shock, horror, tears and despair, bitter anger. Whatever it is their eventual experience becomes, it's not uncommon for people to initially feel shattered, with whole lives turned upside down. Does any of that sound like the fruits of the Spirit?
Are you about to flip a table?
Flip a table. I mean, we've said everything there is to say, but he's making the point that if people's lives are shattered over recognizing that they'd been lied to, again, don't gaslight here. If people have been recognized they've been lied to, let them have that truth, okay? If they're recognizing they've been lied to, it's us. Oh, no. You're so close to the point, though. Like, he's just like missing it. Yeah, their lives are shattered. It ain't our doing, I swear. It's because they built their house upon the sand. And not even them. Maybe their parents or their grandparents or their pioneer heritage. A lot of people joined a lot of religions back in the 1800s and did some things based on bad evidence. And now that we have scientific method and we have the internet and we have accessible information, now's not the time to say that people should, keep up with the traditions of something their family joined in like Western pioneer times. Come on. That is outrageous.
Totally. Just apply this to the Warren Jeffs followers. Like, they all lived in, Colorado City, down in southern Utah, northern Colorado, wherever it is. And for many, many years, they thought they were living in peace and joy. Then Warren Jeffs gets, incarcerated. Their town falls apart. And all of a sudden there's no more leadership, and they're all reeling from the disillusion of their communities. Do they feel good about that? No, they feel horrible as they realize that their leadership is in fray. Their lives are in tatters. They're wondering what they've been giving their lives to. Do you think they feel happy, Jacob Hess? Do you think they feel like they want to celebrate? No. When you leave a high demand religion or lose your faith in a high demand religion, it's like the Truman Show. You feel completely disillusioned and sad. And it's Mormonism that's conditioned you to think that any sad or negative thought or feeling is what?
Like the thought stopping, that it's of the devil, it's contention, it's you losing the spirit, to avoid that at all costs. Go with what you already know is true.
And that's literally manipulation by a high demand religion to make you afraid of making a hard choice. Of course it feels terrible to lose your faith and to have your whole world fall apart. But there's just two things. That doesn't make the church true. And that doesn't mean it's our fault. It's the church's fault. It's Joseph Smith's fault for misleading people. And then it's just a ripple effect that generation across generation across generation has been impacted by that. But it's not the influencer's fault. It's not the whistleblower's fault for calling the church and Joseph Smith out on the deception. It's not our fault. And just because it's painful to lose your faith, it's painful to lift weights, but that's how you get strong. So yes, it's going to be painful and sad and life altering to go through a faith crisis. But what we want to say with the Gift of the Mormon Faith Crisis podcast, with Mormon Stories, with Thrive, with all the stories like the Langs that we tell, with Laura Snell that's coming up, with Mark Osland, what's the message we hear from the people we interview once they go through the sadness and the anger and the pain?
That they have rebuilt a life that's based on evidence, empathy, and purpose that they create themselves, and not one where they are just trying to keep up appearances and just trying to be on this perpetual hamster wheel until they one day achieve celestial glory, that they live the best well-intentioned lives for their family and friends to make this world a better place.
Yeah. And when you see the Langs, when you see Mark and his dear wife, I always forget her name, Rachel, when you see these people, yourself, what do you notice about their countenance? And I don't want to claim any.
It feels like it's built on an inner, what's the word?
How's it for you? Are you are you happier? Are you healthier?
It's built on a purpose that's driven from within and not an external purpose that was given to me on my blessing day. It's something that I have found, and I have set up goals for myself that are meaningful to me and not something that my parents gave me. So it just creates a new and better purpose, and that is invigorating and gets you out of bed in the morning. And I also, did you have something else you want to finish on that?
Just I've counseled personally with tens of thousands of people who have left the church over the past 20 years, and almost without fail, these people report that they're happier, that they're healthier, that they have better relationships, that they're a better parent.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they lose weight. Oftentimes they lose anxiety and depression that they had as Mormons. And without, I would say that less than 1% of the people I've counseled with say that they're less better off having left the church, but it was painful to go through.
And people, I think they want it both ways, because if you see somebody being happy outside the church, you say wickedness never was happiness. Then if you see them being depressed, because yes, the rug just got taken out from underneath them, then you look at that in depression. So it's like a house always wins situation here. It's not fair, and it's not authentic to actually empathizing with people who do genuinely feel like they've been lied to and they need to rebuild their life on something. And I had another great point that I was going to bring up, which is kind of back to the part one of like, remember when we were looking at pictures of Holland and he's like, these sweet messages, how could these be bad? And it's like, they're not always sweet for everyone. They're not always sweet for people who don't fit within that box. And so the point that he's making here is like, shoot, I forgot. What's the exact word he just said?
We can, do you want to play it?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the exact word he just said.
We can back it up just for 2 seconds. Here, let's back it up.
People who felt.
Does any of that sound like the fruits of the Spirit?
Okay, the fruits of the Spirit. Does any of that sound like the fruits of the Spirit? It's so important that Mormons get this, that the fruits of the Spirit are not just like happy families on Sunday in the pews where everyone's dressed in their nice clothes. Mormonism's fruits are not good fruits to everybody. Some of them are outrageous amounts of like homophobia and like suicidal tendencies and scrupulosity. And John, help me out here. Like there are the ramifications from polygamy, all the like Warren Jeffs and FLDS, all of that is technically still a fruit of Joseph Smith. There are a lot of negative fruits of Mormonism. And if you are looking at it through this like pinhole view and it's only the things that benefit you and you fit into this perfect box within the church. Quite honestly, when I was in the church, I liked the church. I had a good experience because it worked for me in a lot of levels. And I only saw the good fruits. And that was great evidence to me that the church was true because I was looking at only the things. I was only cherry picking. That's a good pun for like fruits, cherry picking. Anyway, I was cherry picking only the best parts because I needed that to survive. I needed my mental health to go on and survive. So your brain kind of like makes allowances for only looking at the good parts and ignoring the bad parts. But when you take a more like objective view at the landscape of Mormonism, there are a lot of rotten fruits, and it is a disservice to the Mormons that we love, whether post-Mormon in the church, to not recognize the harm that's being done. It is not all sweet berries.
No, I mean, we all know that depression is rife within the church. Anxiety, scrupulosity is running rampant within the church. We know that missionaries are being sent home in very large percentages. We know that people are fleeing the church. If people were super happy in the church, would they be leaving the church in droves?
That's again, it's like, well, people can't handle it. It's actually harder to be a Mormon. So they can't do it. I
mean, as what I can tell you is Utah, there isn't a psychologist or a mental health professional in Utah that doesn't have a 6-month waiting list. Overuse of prescription drug medications, even illegally, overuse of unhealthy coping mechanisms, like, Utah leading the nation in some polls of even porn use, which isn't necessarily, people can have different opinions about pornography, but when Mormons who are opposed to porn are some of the highest porn users, and we know that that's a form of self-medication, it's just for him to paint. Utah's got one of the highest suicide rates for youth in the country. So for and that's kind of what I'm a little bit upset with Jacob about, is that he knows better. He knows that there's huge mental health problems, divorce problems, suicidality problems within Mormonism. He knows that. And he knows how difficult it is to go through a faith crisis. And he knows that he shouldn't be judging the value of a faith crisis on the lowest and the darkest moments. And that's why I feel like he's not being super, I feel like he's being disingenuous.
Does he have a PhD in something relevant?
I think it might be in psychology.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know for sure. And he's not, if he does, he's not really showing it. He's not showing wisdom or empathy here.
Because he just said that, does that look, when somebody's in the darkest moments of a faith crisis, does that look like the fruits of the Spirit? He said the, good fruits or whatever. And I would just like to ask that question right back. Does the Indian placement program, was that fruits of a good church, of a tree bearing good fruits? Everything that the church has done to the Native Americans, systemic abuse cover-ups, that's a fruit of Mormonism, LGBT suicide epidemic, anti-equal rights amendment, anti-Civil Rights Act.
You're listing all the ways the church is kind of
I'm pulling up a TikTok that I made. Sorry.
Yeah.
I already did the research for this one. Less than 1% of their money going to humanitarian aid. I think that's a big one. There's a big show. There's a big to do. I did church PR, and that's kind of one thing that really disturbed me, was how much they talk about the humanitarian aid versus how much they actually give. So there's a lot of discussion around what fruits are good and bad. So let's just reserve judgment about people going through the darkest things of their life. Continue the video.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll just say, to kind of invoke trying to be fair, yes, there are happy people in the Mormon church. But usually it's the privileged. Usually it's the white men who are connected, who fit into the box, and who are connected and have power and who have privilege. But who's not super happy and healthy in the church? It's often the women. It's often the younger people, the marginalized, the gender minorities, the sexual minorities, the thinkers, politically liberal people. There's so many people that aren't healthy or fulfilled in the church.
Yeah. And we make this argument all the time that the church couldn't survive if nobody liked it. Of course, I liked the church. John, I think you like the church. No trauma. Only trauma was finding out it wasn't true for me. Yeah. Just like a parasite, has to keep its host alive. Not a problem. Go on.
Yep. All right. More Jacob.
Evidence of having received something that is in fact true? No. Because it's not a truth being confirmed at all. As Joseph Smith once taught, truth tastes good. And he was right.
Okay, I got to call him on that. Truth tastes good. Does Joseph Smith marrying 14-year-olds taste good?
Okay, that's a truth. That is a fact.
Does finding out
taste good.
that the Book of Abraham was not a translation as you were told, but instead was just kind of made up and pulled out of Joseph Smith's imagination, does that feel good?
That doesn't feel good.
Does just finding out that Joseph Smith didn't even have golden plates in the cabin when he was supposedly translating them with the Urim Thummim, but instead discovering that the plates weren't even in the room and he had his head in a hat, and that you didn't find that out until you were in your 30s and 40s? Does that feel good?
I'm dry heaving. No.
Yeah.
And then there's also, they want to play both sides of the game, because then they'll also say, I could take it the truth to be hard. So the reason why it doesn't taste good to you is because you're wicked.
Yeah.
No argument for me.
What he's basically saying is that religion is the opiate of the masses. He's basically saying, if a religion can tell you things that aren't true, but make you feel pacified in the teachings, that it can lull you into a sense of not feeling as much distress about life. And it's true. Religion can make people feel numb to the pain and the problems of life. But the problem is, it's not true. Mormonism is, if Mormonism is anything, it's not true. The truth claims of Mormonism are, in 2021,
the argument could be made
demonstrably false.
Yeah, the argument could be made that it's purposeful,
It's got
Um,
some community that people enjoy, right?
Yeah.
It provides some standards, but he says truth tastes good. Mormon truth tastes like a blank sandwich.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think it's a sign of maturity when you can recognize whatever it is, whether it's religion or not, that like, oh, I was accepting something because it felt like an opiate off the mat. It comforted me. It made me feel good. But then when you come in conflict with something that is actually doing harm, you have to mature and either say, I'm going to stay where I was and be harmed by it or harm others with it, or I'm going to evolve with this new evidence and make a shift and course correct. It doesn't feel good to know that like a chemical plant is poisoning your water supply and there's a whistleblower who's trying to speak out and there's, you know, the chemical plant who's like, don't listen to them, they're crazy. It doesn't feel good to know that you've been drinking poisoned water. You have to like make some life changes now. You have to go see a doctor. You have to go like get scans. You have to like pay some money. You have to like uproot your entire life to then deal with the fallout of something that you perceived was a truth, that your water supply was healthy and it actually isn't and it was poisoned. But do you get mad at the whistleblower? I would hope not. Do you get mad that somebody alerted you that you need to make healthier changes in your life? I would hope not. It's just a sign of maturity that I think a lot of people are lacking. I don't know. I'm not going to name names.
Yeah. Who was the guy? Who was the guy that did the financial pyramid scheme in New York where people lost billions and billions of
Bernie
dollars?
Madoff?
Bernie Madoff. Yeah. Let's say you invested your life savings in Bernie Madoff, and then you found out that he had been defrauding you the whole time. Is that going to feel good? The truth is he was defrauding you. Is that going to feel sweet?
You want to say,
that gonna feel
I
exciting?
know how to invest my money. I'm smart. Ignoring the facts that are on the table is not advantageous now.
You know what feels good is getting a statement from Bernie Madoff telling you just made another 10% and another 10% and another 10%. That's what feels good, Jacob Hess. It's a lie, but it makes you feel really good. And somebody in the comments made a really good point that the truth and lies, they can both feel the same. They can both feel good or they can both feel bad.
Are we branching into epistemology here?
We're getting back into
that
epistemology.
Feelings are not always a good barometer of truth?
Feelings are not, yeah. And sometimes truth feels good and sometimes truth feels terrible. Yeah. And Jacob, it's super disingenuous and manipulative and gaslighting for you to make that statement that truth always feels good. I think we made the point. Yeah.
All right, we'll try to watch something for at least 20 seconds now.
The sheer individual and family grief, heartache, angst that so often follows in the wake of embracing this accusation against the church. The force with which it turns entire lives upside down. That ought to say enough. It ought to scream the reality of what's happening here, not just deeper research or brave truth-telling or courageous activism. Something else is going on here. If this were an example of heroic sacrifice to follow after truth, then the pain would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But you would deserve to at least feel real peace, something more than just mental comfort. Of course, not every right thing feels immediately good or clearly peaceful. And plenty of very wrong things feel exciting, especially at first.
Okay, we agree there.
It's not always so easy to tell these things.
Amen.
Especially since that excitement can be manipulated. But peace cannot. You can't fake peace. It's that deep alignment in your gut, the kind of unshakable assurance that led martyrs to their deaths.
Okay. So the peace that the World Trade Center
I was about to say, I was like, when our
felt.
Mormon martyrs feel peace in pursuit of the one true church, it's fine. Any other martyrs for any other cause or religion, they had their own peace, but their peace was like store-bought brand, not brand name. We got the brand name piece. They have the Kroger brand. They have the Western Family brand. They have like the jihadist brand of peace. A lot of people feel peace. A lot. It's pretty ubiquitous, actually.
Yeah, for him to basically claim that only Mormon martyrs feel genuine peace. What about all the other martyrs? What about the people that were trying to kill the Mormons because they felt like they were receiving revelation that Mormons were bad people? Like, it's just such a fraught argument. And I once had someone say to me just recently, do you know what the Holy Ghost feels like? The Mormon Holy Ghost feels a lot like social approval.
Sit with that for a second.
Like, what does social approval feel like? Mommy and daddy love you and are proud of you. All your brothers and sisters are proud of you and love you. All your neighbors and friends and grandparents are proud of you. That's what the Mormon Holy Ghost feels like, because that is exactly what Mormon testimonies generally are based on.
Yes. And if it's not mommy and daddy, I used to say that like one of the best proofs of Mormonism to me, I used to give a talk about this in church actually, was the way that it is a high demand religion. And you do have to, if you're a convert and you go to the temple and your family has to wait outside, what a testimony that you are doing this because you are so committed to following Jesus Christ that you're willing to do what he said. Like, if anyone does not hate their mother and their father, yea, even their, finish the scripture, I can't remember the last word, then they can't be a disciple of mine. I used to think that was a beautiful phrase, and that just proved the conviction that people had, but it only makes sense within the context of Mormonism. A lot of people turn away from their families. A lot of, there's like Americans who will go fight for ISIS. Like, there are a lot of crazy reasons that people do crazy things. People joining a high demand fundamentalist religion, despite their family's approval, to go in with a new in crowd and a new tribe. That's also kind of common in the human experience. People do a lot of things for a lot of reasons that we don't understand.
Yeah. Do devout Orthodox Jews feel genuine peace? Jacob Hess. Do devout Muslims, do devout Scientologists, do devout Jehovah's Witnesses? It's just, there's a video that's been going around about people in all these different faith traditions bearing their testimonies. And guess what, Jacob Hess? Every single testimony sounds identical. So epistemologically,
they're going to say it pisses me off. It pisses me off.
That too.
Epistemology.
But just basically claiming that feelings are truth is so fraught, and we're beating a dead horse. But it's just, stop it, Jacob Hess. You're not helping. You're misleading and deceiving people, and it's gaslighting people.
Despite the initial anguish that so often immediately follows adoption of this Mormon story for so many.
Thanks for the shout
I've been struck by how all that awfulness gets explained away as not having anything to do with the uniquely cynical narrative they've been persuaded to suddenly embrace. Instead, all that angst gets redirected outwards.
I just have to ask. I know, Carah, you want to keep going, but is it a cynical narrative to say that Joseph Smith translated the Book of Mormon when the plates were in the house and the peepstone in the hat? He was looking at a hat. Is that cynical?
No, cynical is ascribing almost like an emotion or an intent to something that's just factual.
Is it cynical that Joseph Smith married 14-year-olds? Is that cynical?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it's a fact.
It's a fact. Is it cynical that he married other men's wives?
It's a fact.
It's a fact. Is it cynical that he married mother-daughter pairs?
Yeah, and
sister pairs.
It's all true, but it's only cynical in the context of, I have a moral compass and I know that that's bad, and like coercing like young brides into something and promising them like eternal salvation. I have a moral compass superior to your prophet and potentially your God. I don't know. I'm getting into some like sketchy territory here, but like I feel like I do, and so I am. Yeah, I'm going to call that a narrative that I don't want to put any part of.
Yeah.
What about you, John? Do you want a part of that?
No, I mean, no, I don't. And when Robert Rittner literally, when Joseph Smith claims to translate Egyptian papyrus into English, and then a real Egyptologist literally translates the papyrus into something that has no resemblance to the Book of Abraham, where the word Abraham doesn't even appear anywhere in the papyrus, that's not a cynical interpretation or framing. That's just evidence, Jacob Hess. That's just evidence. And when Utah's youth suicide rate is in top 5 in the nation, that's not cynicism. Go listen to the Lang interview of those 2 beautiful gay kids and ask yourself whether them wanting to die is just a cynical spun narrative. They had never heard of Mormon Stories podcast, ever. They had never heard of the CES letter. All they knew is that Mormonism made them want to die. And that's not a cynical interpretation. That is just people's lived experiences. So please stop framing it that way, Jacob. It's really insulting and disingenuous, and it's not taking responsibility for the ways Joseph Smith hurt people, Brigham Young hurt people, the modern church has hurt people, the Miracle of Forgiveness of Spencer W. Kimball has hurt people, Dallin H. Oaks is hurting people, Russell M. Nelson is hurting people. Freaking Jeffrey R. Holland's talk last week caused a bunch of people to consider not wanting to live anymore. That's not made up. That's not a cynical interpretation.
Yeah.
That's just the impact that the church
Yeah.
is having on people.
Yeah. And I was trying to say at the beginning that I think he's just using the word cynical to paint it as just nefarious reasons
It's just
that
poisoning the well.
we would ever. Why would I ever bring up Jeffrey R. Holland and do 2 podcasts him about this week? It's only just for like negative, nefarious reasons. But you're trying to say like it's just because straightforward facts, it's hurting people. There's no way to spin that that like we're trying to do something and tear it down. We're just going straight with what we feel like is harming people and bringing that to the light. Like.
Yeah, the awesome Sam Pinson says it's more ad hominem. Cynical is, quote, believing that people are motivated by self-interest, distrustful of human sincerity or integrity. It is, Samuel, and it is a classic, Daniel Peterson, Lewis Midgley, John Gee, basically Jacob Hess just is falling right in the line of the decades of Mormon apologists, Hugh Nibley, where they can't defend the church's truth claims. They can't defend the church's history or the harm it's causing. So they attack us. They attack the whistleblowers.
You're just being cynical about something that is clearly harmful.
It's ad hominem poisoning the well. And that's what it is.
Against what? The monstrosity these people used to reverence as the restored church of God on the earth.
I didn't have informed consent.
Can you see how this narrative, like all accusing narratives, has a ready answer for the very misery it invokes? In this way, these accusers channel another ancient spirit that persuaded millions to believe, quote, that they were wronged in the wilderness by their brethren, and they were also wronged while crossing the sea. And again, that they were wronged while in the land of their first inheritance. Wronged, wronged, wronged. Is that what you believe?
I mean, there again, he's basically comparing us to Laman and Lemuel by choosing those quotes in the Book of Mormon. He's basically trying to say, Carah Burrell, John DeLynn, Jeremy Runnels, RFM, Bill Reel, Lindsay Hitson Park, they're Korihor, they're Nehor, they're Laman and Lemuel. It really is ad hominem.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Yeah.
Do you feel evil?
No, I don't. I feel like an angel, which is what the comment section also tells me I am, because I am being so nice and withholding any negative things. I just am like, Jacob, let's like share a bowl or all right. I feel so much love for you, Jacob. I have nothing bad to say. Nothing.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going.
About America, about your faith, or anything else, then maybe it's time to stop and reconsider who you're trusting to shape your reality. The book of Revelation speaks of a set of accusers of our brethren who went about their work day and night with dogged, incessant zeal. With quasi-missionary passion, modern-day accusers remain depressingly effective in ushering people towards a new kind of community and life, right after these people embrace a message that enrages.
I just have to ask, Carah, how does it feel to know that the Book of Revelations was written about us?
Ooh!
Isn't that kind of cool that like the Bible, Revelations,
John and Carah's
foresaw the
variety
John
hour.
and Carah
The
show?
heat just got turned up. The flames are coming. Asteroids hitting.
No,
us,
seriously, that's
like,
pretty cool.
da, 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 da. Yeah, this.
Like he really thinks a lot of us.
Yeah, this variety hour, I feel, is just like the production quality as we just like get hit in the face with like chariots and horses.
When John the
pummeling
Revelator
us.
was seeing like flying scorpions and angels of death, he saw Carah Burrell's face and her TikToks kind of bouncing across the horizon.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great point, John. I didn't think you were going to go there. That is really funny, but I thought you were going to go with like he said community with so much disdain on
Yeah.
it that
Yeah.
like, can you believe that when people reject, let's see, like Scientology, that they go to like retreats where they talk about the ways they were lied to in Scientology.
And they find support for each other and help
Make
each
a
other through a hard
community.
time.
Listen, hey, I'm going to get the sass out right now, John. You okay with this? When you get blessed in a Mormon church, when you are 5 days old, you are not allowed to find any other community. They found it for you. It's with the carpet walls and that one smell in the bathroom. You stick with it. Everywhere else, they're lying to you. They're spinning the truth to deceive you. They are Layman and Lemuel. They are a bunch of other just character examples from like 2 holy books. We don't get any other character examples from books you already were told to believe in, again, at that infant baptism. Stick with that community outside of it. Hello, losers. So, and sass rant.
I love it. Bring on the sass, Carah. Yeah, she pulled out a can of whoop sass. To be serious for a second, it has always made me sad to hear Mormon apologists have such disdain for people who find community. That is the thing that people need most. When you go through a faith crisis, when your worldview collapses, you need friends, you need community. And I would think that if they are true followers of Christ, they could sort of say, yes, I still believe it's true. And it must be really hard to go through what these people are going through. And I bless them to find whatever friendships and whatever community they can find, because people deserve, what's in the temple? It says it is not good for man to what? It's not good for man to be alone. Like, that's Mormon doctrine. So if Jacob is a follower of Christ, if Jacob believes in love and empathy, Jacob should be applauding post-Mormons finding healing community instead of having such disdain. And like you said, this assumption that, the only community you're ever allowed to have if you're born into a high demand religion is that high demand religion. It's ridiculous.
So my rant was good.
It was a super great rant. High five. High five on that rant. So good. All right, let's continue.
And empties and doesn't feel right. Not in your quiet moments when you're alone with your own thoughts.
That is funny. We just had a comment that Carah liked. It says,
"Can you play this at double speed so it sounds normal?"
We're not being mean to Jacob. So basically, he's saying that. I mean, it's just that same old argument that he's basically saying, and this is just really harsh, because so often the answer to someone who's doubting and questioning their faith is pray and read the Book of Mormon. But Carah, what is your experience for when you're going through a faith crisis, what it feels like to try and give a Mormon prayer to the Mormon God and to read Mormon scriptures? What does that do to you? Does that give you peace?
No, it makes you have to confront the God that you were worshiping, and you were kind of taking other people's word for that he was a good guy. And you have so many things stack up of like, why would you allow this? And why would you allow this? I don't want to worship somebody who allows this. Please give me some peace now that tells me that you're there, that there's a reason. And when it's just nothing and you're sunken in the chair, just realizing that not only you'd been lied to, but the very God that you were worshiping might have just been in your head this entire time, and your entire life has been built around what that God in your head has told you to do. That is an existential crisis to like the 90th degree, like it is so intense. So
yeah, he's almost doing this like, because believe me, when you're going through a faith crisis, you don't feel peace about the church. And it feels disturbing. And it's almost like what he's saying is, hey, these are not the droids you're looking for. Like, it's kind of like a Star Wars reference where he's like waving you and saying, hey, doubting Mormon and questioning Mormon, it's only the church that brings you peace. And even though when you read the Book of Mormon and pray, it's deeply disturbing as you ask yourself, why did Joseph Smith have sex with 14-year-olds? Why is it mentioned steel and chariots and horses in a book that's supposedly historical from Mesoamerica? And, like, he's saying that's not disturbing. What's disturbing is that inner peace that you have, even though you're not feeling it. Like he's just completely gaslighting and invalidating
Yeah.
what it actually is like to lose your faith, because it feels anything but calming.
It's
and
terrifying.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
And he can't even fathom that Orthodox Mormons can feel peace in the church. But then once you realize that Bernie Madoff defrauded you, that it feels terrible and it no longer feels peaceful to be in the church. He doesn't seem to want to acknowledge that. Yeah. All right.
Have any doubts, of course. Maybe you can rewatch one of the latest stories of suspicion to reinforce your conviction even more. But still, something's not right. Not compared with some of what you experienced before. Like midway through the first discussion, when you first heard yourself or someone else say, I saw a pillar of light exactly over my head, above the brightness of the sun, which descended until it gradually fell upon me. At that moment, what came into the room? Something you can trust. Something that shouldn't just be explained away.
Okay, sorry. Oh, wait, he plays a mocking Harrison Ford clip.
Crazy thing is, it's true. All of it. It's all true.
Hey,
all of it, Carah. All of it. It's all true, Carah. All of it.
Yeah, pro tip for making life choices. I know I'm only 32 years old, but I have a pro tip for anyone. If you're trying to defend something that a lot of people call fiction, don't do references to other things that are sci-fi and fiction. So
yeah. Yeah, okay, I'm going to pull you. Like he just pulled out his Jedi mind trick. I'm now going to recount a part of Joseph Smith's first vision, and I'm going to get you to feel the spirit, and whatever you feel, it's true. So here's a poll. We did this yesterday. People listening to the podcast now, when Jared dropped into his missionary voice.
You keep calling him Jared.
When Jacob, I have a friend, Jared Hess. He's going to kill me. When Jacob drops into his general authority voice, pulls out the missionary sort of emotional spirit thing, and started reading Joseph's first vision story. Right now, people listening to this podcast, will you please share in your comments on Facebook, on YouTube, will you share what you felt? And I think that your authentic feelings should matter. And basically Jacob is saying, be true to your feelings, be true to your inner feelings. I am asking you right now, when he dropped into missionary speak, general authority voice, tell Joseph Smith's first vision story, what did you feel? Okay, and let's just read a couple. So Cassidy says, it made me feel gross. Okay. Jezebel's mom says, I just find him creepy AF. Okay. So Fat Tracks says, cringe. Cindy,
creepy as Funyuns. PG.
Cindy Lou Sharp just gives a vomiting emoji. Okay.
That truth didn't taste good.
Brendan King says, disgust honestly, like I'm a moron. Kristen Lee says, I felt disgust, like I was being lied to. Nana says, creepy. Eric Wilding says, sick to my stomach. Now, I could go on. There are so many comments right now. Pit in my stomach. Almost threw up in my cold brew. I felt annoyed. Felt condescended to. Emily has 4 vomit emojis. Okay. Ryan says we felt gross.
You guys all take it the truth to be hard.
Hugo says, I felt sad realizing I used to speak like that when I was on my mission. Richard says, I felt like I was being assaulted. Amanda says, mentally, I felt like I was puking.
Is there such thing as a mental assault?
His voice was like nails on a chalkboard. Amy writes, pit in my stomach. Like it goes on and on. Crisco Bike writes, I wanted to turn it off and run. Jacob is operating under this paradigm that there's just one truth, and it's Joseph Smith. And anyone who is good and true acknowledges that. And anything else is cynical and counterfeited. But Jacob, you need to spend some time with our listeners and look at them in the eye and hear their stories. And you need to just come back and tell us right now, as they tell you they want to vomit, as you drop into missionary voice to tell the Joseph Smith story, how confident are you that they're all deceived, that they're all cynical, and that they're all fooled, and that they're not operating by authentic, genuine feelings of their own wisdom?
Right on. I have nothing to add.
Yeah. Jacob, I really want to hear from you on that. Copy this little video segment. I'm throwing down that challenge and gauntlet. I want you to tell our listeners why your feelings are true and their feelings of wanting to vomit are all invalid. All right. Do you think he'll do it?
Yes. Let's make that an email to him. And the subject line will be, tell us why our feelings that make us want to vomit are invalid. And he'll be like, what?
All right. Hey, guess what, Carah? A sweetness is still available.
That's not true. I'm married.
Oh.
I'm too much.
If you really want to go deeper in your faith,
Oh.
you've got an incredible chance to do
What?
just that. As outlined plainly and powerfully in messages of our living prophet on the earth today. To all the rest who dedicate so much of their time and talents to tearing down the faith of those seeking to follow
Okay, wait,
these
really
leaders,
quickly. He just
off.
I have to pause that for a second. Okay, wait, he just told us to back off. But before we address him telling us to back off, he showed like a little slide, which is basically like all the wisdom. So these are the answers. The price of priesthood power, drawing the power of Jesus into our lives, power from the Book of Mormon, revelation in our lives, ministering with the power of God, sisters gathering Israel, doing better and being better, hear him, let God prevail, your faith will move mountains. So Carah, why are you laughing?
I'm giddy because I'm like ready to rant.
Will you,
Do you want me to rant?
Yeah, like what's wrong with all that? That's good stuff.
Well, somebody
right?
promised me that like I need somebody to promise me that if I rant and I articulate myself how I want to, that somebody's going to send me a Venmo for like free Taco Bell meal tonight or something. Okay, can I do this, John? Can I do this real quick?
Are you seriously hawking your own personal Venmo?
Yeah, because I need to concentrate right now and I need extra
Are we not
motivation
paying you
right
enough?
now.
Are we not paying you enough?
No, you'll take me out to eat like you always do. John's a good guy. Okay. The price of priesthood power. It's been demonstrated that the priesthood power is just a flip of a coin. They've done studies on this. Priesthood power, what priesthood power? Everybody still gets sick in the
Plus
state
you're
of
a
Utah.
woman. How's that
plus,
priesthood power?
I get like a super cool blessing if like my husband also believes in the same fan fiction that I do. So that's fun. Drawing on the power of Jesus into our lives. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming if I'm putting myself into like when I was a Jesus freak mode, like the power of Jesus is like this immense gift that he gave to us in the atonement and like the power that he died so that we could change and be resurrected. That's cool. I find like secular healing a lot more healthy and has a lot better results and like, like cognitive behavioral therapy and stuff. So like power of Jesus, I don't deny is like helpful to motivate some people. But there's like a lot of other better like power where you like have more self-actualization and like internal authority. Like I think that's like kind of the way to go. Turn that off, John DeLynn. It was going off the entire time yesterday. I will not let my Venmo Taco Bell run be ruined by your notifications right now. The power of the Book of Mormon. Yeah, the power of the Book of Mormon does a lot of powerful things. It like totally like supersedes and co-ops like Native American cultures. But power of the Book of Mormon like kind of like had this whole like super fun, powerful like erasure of like a lot of important things that were important to a lot of people called like their native dances and tribes and like history and deities and connection to the divine. So like there's power in the Book of Mormon to like tell people a lot of things. You'd have to like really make the argument that that's a good power. So I would debate you on that one. How am I doing, John?
The Book of Mormon is just factually, it's fan fiction. It is literally a fraudulent
but power, does it have
example?
Can
of
it move
fan
things?
fiction.
Does it?
Yeah, some people, but other people, it makes them want to vomit. Like does Sarah Newcomb derive power from the Book of Mormon when she reads, as you mentioned, that her ancestors were cursed with dark skin because of their wickedness? Does that make Sarah Newcomb, derive power from the Book of Mormon?
Yeah.
Does that make her feel angry and like she wants to vomit? Like the racism alone in the Book of Mormon makes it a false book,
Right.
which then calls into question the power that Jacob is claiming.
Yeah.
that
So
it
I'm
has.
just like kind of like debating of like the power in your eyes to do what? I see a lot of negative power. I see a lot of people being like electroshocked. No pun intended. BYU, 1970s. Anyway, revelation in our lives. I would just call that like human consciousness. I don't know, John. Is there like, there's no way to prove that the revelation is coming from a higher power or higher deity?
Yeah, again, only Mormons get inspiration in their lives, right?
So like you'd be giving that up as kind of his point. I think a lot of people make good, bad choices and in and out of the church. And that's like not like demonstrable enough for me. Ministering with the power of God, again, not demonstrable enough to like actually prove one way or another that you have it. So that's like burden of proofs on
Also,
you.
the program of ministering like home teaching is assigned friendships. I much prefer to be in a post-Mormon world where I just have a lot of genuine friends who visit me because they love me, not because they're assigned to visit me. So just the whole ministering program, just like home teaching, just makes me want to vomit, honestly.
I liked it, but
That's because you like to talk. Anybody that'll come listen to you talk, you love.
no, I'm actually a very self-conscious conversationalist. I just happen to have a microphone and an audience of 517 people right now. Okay. Sisters gathering in Israel. Hey. So thanks for like throwing us a bone that like you're going to give up ministering sisters. I don't know. Thanks. Like he's not saying that we're giving up like anything really that replaceable there. But thanks for throwing us a bone on that one. Doing better and being better. I'm giving that up.
I think progressive post-Mormons are so many of them are always seeking to be happier, to be healthier, to improve their lives. Like
that goes back to the
like
drawing on the power of Jesus into our lives. As human beings, we care about our tribe and where we come from, we want to take care of ourselves and our people and most people I think are good people and want to show up for themselves, their families, and are constantly looking to be happy and to improve and to snuff out like bad practices that are harming themselves and others, generally speaking. And to say that doing better and being better is unique to Mormons,
it's ridiculous.
that's a kind of a weird
so
statement.
insulting,
That's a weird statement. Hear him. Again, I'm sorry to go for the bat, but like a lot of people, like the vomit things, a lot of people, when they hear him, it's not a good thing. It's a scrupulosity. It's a do better. It's a be better in a really negative, anxiety-ridden, depression-ridden kind of way. So when they hear him, it's not always positive things. And other than that, like I'm open to when people have spiritual experiences that uplift them and make them feel warm and better, and they love their family more, and they apologize to their husband, and they are just better spouses and better citizens. If your spiritual experiences and the way that you hear him brings out the best in you, that's not something that like I really care about. It's when you're hearing him and it has externalities that are harmful.
Yeah, well, we know every time we interview someone on Mormon Stories podcast, we ask about sexual shame. And we see that the church, part of the church's business model is to generate shame and guilt and perfectionism.
Oh, you guys.
And that causes so much depression and sadness.
Sorry, you were saying something very serious and I was checking my Venmo for Taco Bell food. I am so sorry, John, go on.
So, so much of what so much of people's experiences in the Mormon church is guilt and shame and perfectionism, and it leads people depleted and sad. And so Mormon God just is not edifying for so many people.
That's what I was trying to say. We said it in our own way. One of us better than others. Anyway, that was actually a compliment to you, John. So OMG Carah, I'm hoping this is not an OMG and a bad OMG. Anyway, I got the money that I was looking for lunch, so we'll skip these, continue watching.
Okay, I guess Kara's done because she got her lunch money. All right, let us continue. We're gonna drop going through this list, but now comes the part where Jacob tells us to back
Prophet
off.
on the earth today.
Are you ready? Are you ready for Jacob to tell us to
To
back
all
off?
the rest who
Waiting my whole
dedicate
life.
so much of their time and talents to tearing down the faith of those seeking to follow these leaders, I would simply say, back off and stop poisoning our people. And to all those who have already been affected.
So back off and stop poisoning our people.
I have no better statement that I think represents the one sentence that I would mail to the church office building.
Which is?
Back off and stop poisoning our people. Quorum of the 15 and 12.
So you're just basically saying you're putting up a mirror and saying,
yeah. Stop
yeah.
it.
Yeah, stop poisoning us with sexual shame. Stop poisoning young girls with messages about, rape culture and, modesty. Stop poisoning our youth to feel shame around, healthy normative behaviors. Stop poisoning our LGBT youth, our trans youth, and our gay youth to feel like they're broken and defective. Stop poisoning people by rushing them into marriages when they haven't even got a chance to know themselves, let alone their partners. Stop poisoning people with a fabricated theology that isn't really rooted in reality, but is actually created to generate dependency and to siphon time and money and reputation, like a parasite siphons resources from its host. I agree with you, Mormon Church. I agree with you, Carah. Mormon Church, stop poisoning our people.
Yes, because this is, again, going back to they have created these truth claims. They uphold this church that is based on the one true church revelation. We are the ones that talk to God. When you make that strong of a truth claim and people dedicate their entire lives to this high demand fundamentalist church, you are making an enormous claim that people base their entire lives around. And when they fall through and either don't fit in the box or recognize the truth claims are not what they originally thought it were, it's not us inventing a problem. It's them purporting to be the answer to all of life's existential questions, to be the one and true church. And it's us who then has to pick up those pieces. I'm so sorry that has to happen, but he's trying to play like this reverse thing that we're doing that. We're not. We do not have anywhere near the power and influence of the LDS Church, but we are here to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, Gala writes are really, some of you are actually sharing other ways that the church is poisoning our people. Gala writes, stop ruining families. Absolutely. We just interviewed the amazing Jessie Funk on Mormon Stories, and she talked about how when she lost her faith, her husband literally said to her and her children, Jesus over families. Like Mormon Church, stop poisoning families such that they choose faith over their loved ones. Stop that. Lauren writes, stop telling people that they cannot, stop telling people that they control their own lives. I didn't get that one. Wait a minute. Lots of people. William says, stop beating us up and then taking us for steak dinners as an apology. There's so many, this is a really, really important one. Jerem writes, stop covering up sex abuse by church leaders, where the church.
A lot of the things that we're talking about there are ways to reform the system of the church. We don't even have to attack like the foundations of its truth claims. Everything that Mormons currently benefit from in the church came from an agitator, from somebody bottom up or outside in, somebody who recognized that things could be healthier without going strictly to not having a historical view of the Book of Mormon or something. So like blacks in the priesthood, women in the church, every small change that we enjoy today has come from an agitator. So it's important that we agitate and we understand that there can be healthy changes made within the system. So down to like the bishops, sex abuse things, there are certain things that we can rally for, and we can say that this is completely unneeded. There's no reason that you need to be asking such personal invasive questions alone in a room for a child to be able to get a temple recommend to go into their temple. You can just let people go by the honor code in their own head. There's a million different ways within the system that we do not need to set people up for failure the way that they are right now.
Yeah. And the last one I'll say is, Newton writes, stop poisoning my future. I would say, stop with the lack of informed consent. Stop misleading members about false or fabricated truth claims and a whitewashed history, such that people base their entire lives, their money, their reputation, their families, their marriages on something that isn't true. You know, Richard Bushman was recently quoted as saying that the church's traditional historical narrative is unsustainable because it's not true. And so even though the church has been forced into publishing gospel topics essays, finally bludgeoned into acknowledging that its historical narrative was false and incomplete. The church has a long way to go before they fully inform the members about the problems with the church, such that they're not basing their lives on lies, but they're basing their lives on truth. And I think that's the way the church poisons people, I think, the most.
Right on.
By these persuasive influencers. Please hear me out. It's not the living prophets of God that were lying to you. It's this handful of people podcasting and blogging from their basements. Despite what you...
Hey, we may be in a basement, but we pay rent
We're
here.
not.
It's not like John's mom's house or something.
No, I mean, like we've covered this a lot on Mormon Stories podcast recently, but I think it's worth noting this issue about the Book of Abraham that we've talked about several times that Robert Rittner showed. The church knew about that as early as 1912. Okay. B.H. Roberts knew that the Book of Mormon had serious historical problems by 1922. If you watch the Shannon Caldwell Montez podcast series about the secret Mormon
it's
meetings
all irrelevant because you did it from a
1922.
basement. Sorry. Sorry. If it's below ground, it's below truth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think it was funny.
Okay. So,
Whatever. I'm quitting.
So the Brethren have known that the Book of Mormon had serious historical problems as early as 1922. And B.H. Roberts called the entire First Presidency Quorum of the 12 and the Quorum of the 70 in to notify them. Like Fawn Brody put us all on notice about Joseph Smith and with her book, No Man Knows My History, as early as 1945. And what did they do? They excommunicated her. Like he's trying to say, Carah, that we are the ones that are deceiving people.
I see what point you're making here.
And that the brethren are the ones that have been honest. You know,
We've been forced into our basements. Fawn Brody, she was one of us. She used to be, writing her papers and stuff above ground. She was in the libraries until they started seeing it in the light of day.
You really pissed Carah off.
Forced below
the basement
ground.
Comment really pissed Carah off.
It's also hello, classist. Why'd you have to go there? A lot of people can't afford Windows. Come on.
Don't ever mention the basement again, Jacob, or you're going to really piss Carah off. Final thing. You all know the story about Joseph Fielding Smith coming upon the 1832 version of Joseph Smith's first vision, realizing how inconvenient that version was. And then what did he do, Carah?
He ripped it out of his journal and hid it in a vault for 40 years.
And hid it in a vault for decades. Like Jacob, I really want to ask you this question sincerely. Who has lied and misled? Is it Mormon Stories podcast? Is it Jeremy Runnels? Is it Jonathan Streeter and RFM or Bill Reel? Who's been more honest? Fawn Brody, the Tanners, Sunstone Dialogue. Who's been more honest? Us or the Mormon Church prophets, seers, and revelators and apostles and the Mormon Church historians? I think it's pretty obvious. And so I think it's pretty ridiculous and disingenuous that you're calling us the ones that are the deceivers. I think it's the opposite's true.
You've been told.
Wait, pause it.
It's not.
I wrote this down so I wouldn't mess up my joke. Okay, remember how you were like, is it Mormon Stories? And that's where a comedian like me would jump in and be like, is it the basement dwelling Taco Bell truth variety show Happy Hour? Or is it the Mormon Church?
Carah's really working hard to keep that basement taco joke gag running. You're working super hard on that.
It's called callbacks.
All right.
Sorry, press play.
That's great. All right, back to Jacob.
Despite what you've been told, it's not the evidence that broke your shelf.
Oh,
it's the story of suspicion you swallowed whole
Mm.
without realizing it was poison.
I am so sorry. Please don't send us comments that we keep pausing it because each sentence is its own accusation that literally feels like kind of a knife. Not that like his knives actually hurt, but kind of like really? You really feel that way? You really have that bad faith of an interpretation of what we do here? That one hurt a little bit. I don't get my feelings hurt, obviously, but like on a horizon approaching like 7 miles away, I see feelings approaching hurting me. And I'm like, smoke signal, attack. But like, do I actually have my feelings hurt? No. I'm just like, aw. How do you feel? How do you feel about that statement, John?
Well, Holly writes, did he really just say that? It goes back to the Star, if we're going to go with Star Wars references, it's gaslighting. These are not the droids you're looking for. He's basically saying it's not the fact that Joseph Smith slept with 14-year-olds. It's not the fact that he married other men's wives. It's not the fact that the Book of Mormon is demonstrably false, or the Book of Abraham is demonstrably false, or the Kinderhook plates demonstrably prove that Joseph Smith was a fraud, that the temple ceremony was clearly plagiarized from the Masonic Lodge. It's not the Mountain Meadows massacre. It's not the LGBT suicides. It's not the excommunication of dissidents. It's none of that. It's Carah.
It's the spin that you should not trust
John.
Your own instincts to know that things are as blatant as somebody coming up to you at the ATM saying that they need like $20 for a bus ride back home when they are like actively trying to sell you drugs behind the next corner. Like it's something where like, oh, this doesn't add up. My brain has evolved to know when I'm being lied to. He's trying to tell you that like you don't know what you know.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
It's really, we talked about this yesterday. He's insulting everyone. It's not the facts. It's not the evidence. It's this dishonest spin. And he's basically giving us so much credit that literally we have the power to take hundreds of thousands of people out of the church. But earth to Jacob, the church doesn't need us to push people out. It's just Joseph Smith's history, and it's Brigham Young's statements, and it's the Book of Mormon, the Book of Abraham's just clear, blatant, state of fan fictionhood. That's what's causing people to leave.
Yeah.
And the LGBT suicides and the church's suppression of the information.
Yeah, it's literally, you know what it is, John? The best analogy, I don't know if I made up this or if I read it in the comments. So if somebody said this and I'm not as smart as I think I am, let me know. It's like saying that a news reporter who's like on the scene at the big fire factory back here where there's explosions going off. And you're like, would you believe this reporter is telling everyone about the explosions going down there? Now no one's going to buy property down there. Now people are going to be afraid. They're like fear mongering about the explosions down at the like chemical plant. Like you're literally getting, I already kind of made this analogy with the whistleblower, but it's still the same thing of like, if you're announcing the harm that's being done and reporting on it live and like testimony is like, hey, this person was here. If you're reporting on it, then you're the problem. Am I wrong? Is that not the point he's like almost making, that like it's us that are reporting on the damage that's being done?
It's just
and
gaslighting.
profiting.
He's gaslighting. Go look up the definition of gaslighting. He's literally just telling you that it's not the fact that you've lost all your money. It's the fact that you believe the people that told you that Bernie Madoff was a fraud. You believe the reporters. You believed the whistleblowers. They're the problem. It's not the fact that you literally have lost your life savings. And it's gaslighting, and it's just gross. And Jacob, you know better. You know that the church's truth claims are deeply problematic. You know this, Jacob, and you need to stop gaslighting everybody. That is sick. That does make me want to vomit, honestly. So.
And that you were embracing, yes, the biggest church lie of all. That the Church of Christ has been lying to you all along. No, it hasn't. The leaders of this church are kind, sincere, and thoughtful people who have given their lives to share a message of hope and healing with the world. That doesn't mean I don't sometimes grapple with what they have to say. There's a reason prophets were stoned.
Pause just for a second. So he's making a fallacious argument here that if somebody is a martyr for a cause, that is supposed to be a testament to the truth that they died for or they dedicated their life for. We've made this argument. I just want to highlight that again, that's really unfortunate fallacious reasoning. That doesn't hold. Sorry.
They're supposed to go against the grain. But do they really? look and feel like liars who are motivated deep down by greed and power? Of course they don't. And what you used to feel in
I mean, I just want to address that directly and just say that if I'm trying to get off kind of my angriness, he's creating a straw man here. We don't believe that the brethren are eat babies. We don't believe that the Quorum of the 12 and the first presidency.
They don't even have mustaches to do this to.
Yeah, they don't have mustaches to twirl. We don't believe that they're lying, conniving, deceiving, stealing, thieving humans.
That argument will be made all over Ex-Mormon Reddit. That's actually not an opinion I hold or John holds, though.
But we think they've been fooled like everybody else. And so they're just victims like everybody else. I think they're sincere for the most part. I think they believe in what they teach for the most part. I think they know that what they teach the members isn't really truthful. I think they want us to believe they talk to God and Jesus when they know they don't.
Yeah.
I think they know that the church is deeply problematic and they don't talk openly about the problems. So in that sense, they're not being fully honest like they taught us to be.
Yeah. And you can never know how much somebody believes truthfully because we all have our motivated reasonings for making sense of the world. And I think that the top leaders of the church have the most motivated reasoning when they worked themselves into the corner that they are about, being in the position of leadership in the church. I don't have no idea what's going on in their head of how much they believe versus the Orthodox member because they're in it. They're this, you don't want to watch the sausage being made, but they are the sausage makers. They know how it's made. They know what goes into it. But John, you're right. They have to know that they're not being forthcoming with the truth of the church, evidenced by the fact that the Gospel Topics essays disrupted so many people's testimonies, and that they're kind of divided even till today about how much they should even publish about the truth claims of the church that might be shocking to some people. So whether or not they actually believe, that's up for debate. It's impossible to know how much somebody believes in, and it's something I constitute as like an imaginary figure, but do I believe that they do it all just for money? No. John and I have talked about this before. If you're an old person, you don't want to get up and wear a suit all day and be in meetings all day. I think that their lives are actually a lot more boring than people give them credit for, but they have a posterity to take care of. They know all of their kids will be filthy rich, probably too. And I think that they've just worked themselves up into the church. And generally speaking, they're in a very closed environment. They don't have access to a lot of the problems even within the church that they could do something about. And they are insulated in that way, and they are doing the best with the conditioning that they had. Most of them are born in I don't know, what do you think, like the 30s or something? They have a lifetime of like American racism conditioning and being in a patriarchal system. So their opinions just come born out of the society that they were raised in. Assigning an actual nefarious nature to them harming the church is a step that's too far that I won't make. I don't think that they are purposely doing anything wrong. It's more about the things they're not doing. And that's because of their conditioning, the things that they're just unaware of, maybe.
And my view is, again, he's creating a straw man to make it sound like we think they eat babies and are lying thieves. But so that's a straw man. I don't think we've ever really claimed that, but I do think what's true is that they have not been fully honest about their history and the harm that they've caused, and they have punished anyone who has spoken openly about it, whether it's Fawn Brody, B.H. Roberts, Leonard Arrington, Lowell Benyon, T. Edgar Lyon, Sunstone Dialogue, the September 6th, the Sandra and Gerald Tanner, Jeremy Runnels, me, Bill Reel, Lee and Cody Young. Just take your pick. The church punishes its truth tellers and has been hiding the truth for over a century. And that's the truth, not because they're evil, but because they're sincere believers that are trying to, keep people from losing their faith because they're trying to hold on to their power and influence. That doesn't make them evil. But I do think they have a character problem. I do.
Yeah.
In their presence was more than mental gymnastics, confirming your own favored worldview. What you felt was from God, a personal assurance from His own Holy Spirit,
Can I just ask, why does God need Jacob to tell you that what you felt was from God?
Yeah, I already said that like less than 1% of 1% are a member of the church. And like you have to make sure that you get the right books at Deseret Book that confirm the truth if you're doubting. And then on top of that, you need to make sure that you stumble across this YouTube video and you are invested enough to make it to the 19 minute and 32 second mark so that you can be like, oh, when you put it that way.
God needs to up his power if he's relying on Jacob Hess over YouTube to let you know that what you felt was from God. It's just kind of bizarre. Like, who does he think he is? Why does he think that his video is even necessary? Can't the brethren carry their own water?
Yeah.
Can't God carry his own water?
Yeah. It just is kind of depressing that all of this is, I am so passionate about the harm that's done within this church because it's my tribe. Well, at the same time, knowing that this tribe's reach is actually not that far outside of a lot of places. The damage it's done in individual lives is immense, like I would say per capita, but it is less than 1% of the global population. And so if God created this world and this plan for us to be tested, so few people are aware of the test. And that makes you wonder, like, what's the point? And
yeah, I said yesterday, it's less than 0.5% of the world's population. It's less than 1/10 of 1/2 of 1% of the world's population. Yeah. It's extremely small. I love Matt. Matt really puts it, he summarizes it well. Matt says, Matthew Fuller, why does the Holy Ghost need so much help? And why is God's one true plan, draining its membership? It's because you're powerful, Carah.
Yeah.
It's because of your TikToks. It's all you. It's all you.
It's just demonstrable truth claims and the fact that there's a box that the Mormon God puts too many people in that they physically cannot be in that box without suffocating. So a lot of people are like, air, please.
Air, please.
True. It really is. All of it. All the way back. Are you really going to walk away from?
Sorry, I have to get snarky for a second. It's all true. Adam God doctrine, scratch that one.
Polygamy, D&C 132.
It's all true. Scratch that one. It's all true. All the parts of the word of wisdom about like eating meat sparingly, it's all true, except for when you don't want to.
It's all true. Native Americans were cursed with dark skin because of their wickedness. Totally true.
Rephrase. That's not what we meant. You guys are taking that the wrong way.
Blacks were less valued. African Americans were less valued in the pre-existence because of their wickedness. Super true.
Okay.
God doesn't want women to have his power. Totally true.
Okay. So now that was the snark. Now here's a good faith interpretation of what he's trying to say. He's trying to say that from the foundation of, he showed a picture of Jesus's birth and the restoration with Joseph Smith. I think the message that he's trying to paint here is that it's all true. Everything from the Bible, all of these stories going back, it's actually true. This is the way that Elohim, God the Father, set up the earth, and all of these things work together. What he's again completely unaware of is all of the mass contradictions. So again, I don't know which truth you are trying to even say is true, because so many parts of the Bible contradict with one another. So many parts of the Bible to the Book of Mormon contradict one another. So many parts of modern revelation of our modern prophets contradict each other. So he's just going with the whatever in your head, listener, Orthodox, Mormon, TBM, whoever's listening this, somebody in a faith crisis, whatever you determine and cherry picked as true from this narrative, from the Bible, Book of Mormon, Restoration, whatever is true that made you feel good, remember, it's all true. It's all true. But he would never, I'm assuming I haven't finished this video, he's not going to get into the specifics of which parts are true because there are so many contradictions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 6,000. Doctrine and Covenants talks about a 6,000-year Earth. Does that mean the Earth
is true?
Is a global flood true? Is the Tower of Babel true? Like,
we could go all day.
No credible, serious person that thinks any of that's true. Is
the basement dwelling, Taco Bell, Truth Variety Show Hour listed top 1,000 things that are true. Maybe question mark?
Our Lamanites.
That'll be like our David Letterman does his top 10, but we have our top 1,000, and it takes 10 hours.
Yeah.
Tune in.
Holly makes a really great point. Holly Harris writes, "Not one thing could be incorrect." She's basically paraphrasing Jacob Hess. "Not one thing could be incorrect. Please don't work out the truth for yourself. Just believe." It really is a thought-stopping technique that he's doing. He's just saying, it's all true. Wait, let me put the glasses on again. It's all true.
I am speechless at that. You should take that traveling act on the road.
Is that Academy Award worthy?
No, I'm just saying, like, take that act on the road. Do a Jacob Hess impression. You'll be a millionaire.
All true.
All right. We're going to get through this.
And this heritage.
I got to rewind that.
You
It's too
really
good.
going to walk away from this all?
Yeah.
This heritage of incredible faith
Mhm.
and a future full of so many promises. To my precious, amazing
I mean, that was
promises
basically, he's basically just kind
and a
of like,
future full of
he's basically just saying your future in the Mormon church is so amazing. Are you really going to walk away and leave it all behind?
Oh, and you know what I'm thinking of right now is how he was pro conversion therapy or celibacy that we talked about at the beginning, and his views on LGBTQ
Yeah,
people.
Tell that to gay kids.
Yeah.
Gay
Say,
Mormon
are you really
kids.
going to give this all up and leave it to actually stay alive? Like that's just when you put that in context of how he probably views gay people, I'm really disheartened at that.
It's not just that. I mean, now that like over half of the people raised Mormon in the United States have left the church, and the church is losing its 20 somethings at the rate of like 60, 70, 80%. The Mormon dream has become a nightmare. Mormon heaven is sad heaven because so many people
Yeah.
are leaving in droves. And so, you know,
I just want
basically
to add, it's called the
every-
sunken cost fallacy here, is pointed out here.
every
Stand the vote
every
stuff.
day you go to church as an Orthodox believing Mormon, you're reminded of how many of your family members have left.
Yeah.
And it's no longer a happy dream, but he's selling it like it is.
Yes. That you're going to give up all of this. And going back to the analogy that we keep talking about, all of this for people who are suffocating within a box that was prescribed for them from the time they were 5 days old at their baby blessing. Are they going to give up that to breathe oxygen? Yes. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people, whether your truth claims you think are more valid than I do, you have to admit that a lot of people do not fit within the framework of Mormonism. And if we want to keep them alive, they need to give all of that up. Whether or not we can disagree on the value in it, people do not fit within this box, and it is literally crushing them. So be honest with the harm that's being done.
Jamie puts it well. She says, as a lesbian, yeah, I had a great future. And it's not just lesbians, it's people with scrupulosity, people with anxiety, women who are depressed. Just so many people don't fit the Mormon mold. It's weird that he goes.
Yeah.
you
And
know,
it's weird
goes
that he
to
didn't use a picture of our own planet one day. That was a true thing that's no longer apparently a true thing.
Yeah.
Gonna give up all of this. If you would have shown a picture of a planet, I would have really rethought my employment here. You're right. I do actually want that. But we've reformed that doctrine a bit.
so many promises. To my precious, amazing, beautiful brothers and sisters. Yes, you really did used to feel him, and you can feel his presence again. And that injury you've had to your own attachment to this faith can heal, just like it does in a wounded marriage. As long as you first do as Lamoni and start pleading to have that dark veil of unbelief cast away from your mind and heart. That happened to him, as it has to so many others. It can happen for you too. But first, you need to see, really see, the big lie. Do you?
And it ends with the quote that says, truth is like the sun. You can shut it out for a time, but it ain't going away.
Okay.
I agree with that.
I agree.
I like that quote.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
It's like the sun. You can try to shut down. You can try to what's the word? Do something to our where our podcast is hosted. You can take it down, but people will still be seeking out the honesty of the church's truth claims. You can take the gospel topics essays off the website, LDS's website. That might happen one day. People are still going to lose their faith in something that is not based on solid evidence. So, may the best man win.
I mean, yeah.
This is not a debate. This is not like a war. Jacob, we genuinely want the best for you. And we want you to understand that these words that you're saying are keeping people in a harmful dogmatic system and not letting them be authentic to the truth. And it's gaslighting. And I know that we overuse the word gaslighting a lot when we talk about deconstructing Mormonism and stuff, but it makes people feel crazy and it makes people feel insane and it makes people feel depressed and anxious when you don't validate their own lived experiences. So you can still believe in the church without having to go into this type of apologetic rhetoric that I think is honestly harmful. So that's why we are okay with taking down this little hit piece on John and Mormon Stories. And we're going to sleep just fine tonight, knowing that we did a good job at Mormon Stories Studio today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've been really kind of hard on Jacob and his arguments. And maybe we got a little bit more sassy or snarky than we wanted to sometimes. It's hard to always keep a leash on it and always keep a muzzle on it and to not get angry or frustrated. But I just want to say, Jacob, you can do better. You're smarter than this. And more importantly, you claim to believe in the Prince of Peace, the guy who said, leave the 99 and go after the one. You have not done your homework, Jacob, to listen to people who have been in faith crisis. Just by the fact that you claim that it's us that cause people to leave the church because of our framing, what you haven't taken time to listen to them, to understand the actual problems they have, both with the church's problems with their truth claims and with the way the church harms people. You haven't done your part. And it comes across as incredibly invalidating, like you don't get it, like you don't want to get it. And it comes across as insulting and as manipulative and as gaslighting. And then when you add to that your kind of priesthood voice, your general authority voice, your attempts at sort of like invoking emotion, which all falls back into a completely bankrupt, fraught epistemology where you believe that feelings are truth. This is just an awful 20 minutes. I feel dumber for having watched it. But
Jacob Hess, what you just said was the most insanely idiotic thing I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response, cut me off because I know the whole thing. It's from Billy Madison.
Yeah, no, it's just it. But listen, I want to give you a chance, Jacob Hess. I want to give you a chance to atone. One more thing. You talked about repairing the injuries with the church being like repairing injuries within a marriage. Let me just go with that for a second. I have received injury in my marriages and in my marriage. I've received injury in my marriage.
Mormon, John says.
And I have caused it. It's okay. It's okay. Let me just finish this part.
Okay.
I've received injury in my marriage and I've caused injury in my marriage. And you know what was healing to the marriage? It was both parties being willing to acknowledge and accept responsibility, both being willing to apologize for the mistakes that we made in our marriage. It was being emotionally vulnerable about our weaknesses and our frailties and our mistakes, learning to develop true, healthy emotional intimacy and connection with my wife, Margie, setting mutual goals, each of us getting individually strong, owning our stuff, and then setting goals and values that we could do together where we're walking firmly side by side with each other instead of ignoring each other or standing in weak places individually. That's what healthy repair in a marriage is. And the church is a failed partner in that relationship by the very fact that Dallin H. Oaks himself has said,
we do not give apologies.
We neither seek nor offer apologies. The church doesn't own its stuff. And so it's an invalid marriage partner. And until the church owns its stuff, apologizes, and atones, just like it teaches us. We all know the steps of repentance. Forsake the sin. Acknowledge that you've done wrong. Make it right. Resolve to never do it again. The church does none of these things. They send out goons like you to gaslight the rest of us, to use ad hominem to attack us. And it doesn't do anyone any good. So Jacob, I'm just going to say, You can do better. I am personally inviting you to talk to 10. I will provide to you 10 or 20 of my listeners, our listeners that have been through a faith crisis. Better yet, spend some time watching Mormon Stories podcast and listen to all the interviews of the people that we have spent now over 1,500 hours interviewing. And you will see that they have genuine, credible, and legitimate concerns that you should be validating and showing empathy with, not gaslighting and trying to dismiss.
Mic drop. Yeah,
and,
man.
And
Good
once
analogy.
you've done your homework, Jacob, we invite you to come on Mormon Stories. You can apologize for the insult that your 22 minutes was. Not to me and Carah. We weren't insulted by this. It's a joke.
I went into it thinking that it was like, ooh, a hit piece on John and Mormon Stories. I am so saddened for how poorly you empathized with people who are struggling with one of the hardest things that they'll ever do in their life.
Yeah, how little you've done your homework and how insulting you were to the literally 10, 12 million people that have left the Mormon church. You have not done your homework. You have done a really poor job of empathy and of understanding. And so, Jacob, I ask you to just do better. And once you've done better, I invite you to come on Mormon Stories, apologize to my audience, and then we can have a healthy, constructive dialogue. That doesn't mean you have to arrive at the same conclusions that we have, but just stop insulting and gaslighting our people.
Yeah. And if you can also, while we're asking for requests from Jacob, maybe like give up your ideas about conversion therapy, like just completely abandon those before you walk in our Mormon Stories door, like do some more research on that. I would just like recommend like maybe that a high priority. Like if you were like, oh, I'm scheduling to go out on a date night with my wife on Friday, tell her something else more important came up, and it's researching the harm of conversion therapy. So like that's a high priority request from me to you. John has his requests. I hope that these are not meant with any kind of honest snark, just genuinely wanting you to do the best by your family, your community, the ward, wherever you're going to be teaching or serving in, that you abandon a lot of these harmful ideas that are not based in straight up empathy. Like I would hope that somebody in the church does, because I do believe there are a lot of very Christ-like, very empathetic people in the church who get it. I hope that you listen and learn.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't want to sound mean, but
I got a piece of criticism from a listener. Jeremy writes, John, you just called him a goon and then criticized him for ad hominem. Fair point.
We slip up. Okay.
Guilty.
It's a live stream.
No, let me just practice what we want the church to do, what we want Elder Oaks to do, and what we want Jacob Hess to do. Jeremy, you are absolutely right. I made the commitment to not use ad hominem and not to criticize. I did that. I shouldn't have, and I'm sorry. Jacob, I'm sorry for calling you a goon. I do think your behavior is harmful, and I used language that I shouldn't have used, and I'm sorry.
But,
and Jacob or Jeremy, thank you so much for calling that to my attention. I will try and do better.
But I would also just like to add that there's the fallacy that just because somebody messes up does not mean that you get to completely sweep all of their points under the rug because they have one fallacious argument or they have one, non-well articulated point. So if we slip up here and there, and our intent is not to throw ad hominem, but I hope that people can genuinely see that it's coming from a place of honest frustration where we don't even know what else to do. We've said everything that there is to say. So
I love it. All right. Well, we got to run. You guys have been amazing. I just want to thank everyone that took the time to donate through the super chat. Both yesterday and today, several of you who valued this programming, who want to see it continue, clicked on the $ button in YouTube and donated. We are not going to be releasing these on the Mormon Stories podcast channel. We don't think this response format is necessarily good for the podcast. And so, what we're going to rely on in this format is you guys who can afford it, who can support it, to go to YouTube, click on the little super chat $ and to donate. Carah, it's always awesome to collaborate with you.
it's so fun.
You are a funny, good-hearted, amazing, wise person.
Thank you, John. And I feel the same about you. And I just remembered a joke I was going to say 5 minutes ago. May I say it now?
Yeah, please.
Somebody said that it doesn't matter because I'm a woman and I wouldn't get my own planet anyway, and I'd have to share it with a bunch of polygamous wives. That's nobody who has a planet talk. So only somebody who doesn't have a planet would tell me. I don't see you having a planet. So if Mormonism was true and I did get a planet, so what? I have to share it with my polygamous wives. At least I have a planet.
Good point.
So
That's a good point.
So
Nice point.
just wanted to put that out there. Always a pleasure, John.
Yeah. If you liked this format of response videos, if you want to see it continue, please let us know. If you have critiques or criticisms,
we did match too. Please,
we matched.
I have like a salmon colored undershirt.
We coordinated it. If you like this
Go
format,
take family pictures after this.
If you like this format and want to continue, please let us know. Email us at mormonstories@gmail.com. Comment in the comments, either on Facebook or on YouTube. If you like the format but think we suck or need to improve, us, like unlike other people, maybe, we want your feedback and criticism. So email us, comment, let us know how we can make this better. If you love stuff that we did, let us know that too. We want to hear the positive feedback. Carah absolutely adores your fawning praise. So please continue pouring that fawning praise onto Carah. Take her out to Taco Bell, give her burritos, those little cinnamon churro things. That's Carah's love language, is those cinnamon churros.
I was about to say,
from
John,
Taco Bell.
you read my mind.
Yeah. But thanks for your support. Please let it continue. If you support Mormon Stories podcast and want to see it continue, you can always become a monthly donor. Go to mormonstories.org, click on the donate button, $10 a month, $50 a month, whatever you can afford. Your money will literally go to pay Carah's salary, her benefits, and to allow her to be kind of a more permanent fixture in this organization. So if you love Carah, if you want to see her continue, or if you just want to see the programming continue, please support us. We love you guys. If you have topics you want us to cover, if you have videos you want us to do responses to, we would love to do this once a week if there's demand for it. So please send us links and ideas, and we would love all that. Anything else you want to close with, Carah?
Just thanks for everyone who's been sticking around on this live stream between last night and today. It means a lot that you spent a lot of time with us to write in your comments and be in this like fourth person dialogue interaction as we would do these responding videos. So I've really enjoyed everyone's comments. Sorry we didn't get around to reading every single one or super chat, but they mean a lot. So thank you.
Thank you, Isabel Armstrong, for your donation. Thanks, Zach Ecstatic. Brian, we've got
rolls
some
off the
donations
tongue.
rolling
Ecstatic.
in. Thanks, everyone. Abby, her IKC, everyone who's donating. You guys.
Oh, Brian, burritos. Thank you.
It makes a big difference. So you guys are awesome. Thanks so much for the support. We'll see you guys all again soon on another episode of Mormon Stories Podcast. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend, Carah.
You too, John.
You're awesome. Bye, everybody.